For years, the world was told there was a new anti-American club: China, Russia, Iran, North Korea. 4 countries, one message: America is no longer the boss. They held meetings, they signed deals, they blamed Washington, they smiled for cameras. It looked powerful, it looked united, it looked like a new world order. Then Iran was hit, and suddenly the club became very quiet. Iran was not just any country to Beijing. Iran sells oil to China. Iran gives China influence in the Middle East. Iran also annoys America, which makes it useful to Beijing. So when Iran came under attack, many people expected China to do something big: send weapons, send warships, threaten America, stand beside Iran. But China did not do that. Beijing issued statements, called for peace, asked everyone to stay calm. Basically, China brought a microphone to a missile fight. The Iran war exposed China's biggest weakness. Not its economy, not its army, not its navy. Its biggest weakness is this: China wants global power without global risk. It wants influence in the Middle East. But it does not want a Middle East war. It wants cheap Iranian oil. But it does not want to die for Iran. It wants to challenge America, but not directly. That is the difference between looking powerful and paying the price of power. To China, Iran is useful. Iran sells discounted oil. Iran weakens American influence. Iran gives Beijing another card to play. But once missiles start flying, Iran becomes expensive. If China helps Iran openly, it risks sanctions. If China sends weapons, it angers the United States and Israel. If China sends warships, it risks a direct military clash. And for what? To protect Tehran? Beijing may like Iran, but not that much. China's first priority is not Iran. China's first priority is China. This war also exposed something bigger. China, Russia, Iran, and North Korea are not really an alliance. They are more like a group chat. Very angry, very loud, very anti-American. But when one member gets into trouble, everyone suddenly becomes busy. Russia has Ukraine. China has trade. North Korea has missiles to polish. Everyone sends support. Nobody sends themselves. That is not NATO. That is not a military alliance. That is political theater with refreshments. This is where America still has an advantage. America has real alliances: military bases, defense treaties, aircraft carriers, troops stationed overseas, allies who train together and plan together. China has many customers, but customers are not allies. A country that buys your oil is not the same as a country that will fight for you. Iran discovered that difference. China was willing to buy. China was willing to talk. China was willing to criticize America. But China was not willing to turn Iran's war into China's war. Some people will say China was smart, and they are right. Why should China risk a war with America for Iran? From Beijing's point of view, staying out was logical. Let America spend money. Let Israel take risks. Let Iran absorb the damage. Let oil prices move. Then China can watch, calculate, and protect its own interests. That is clever. But here is the problem. If China wants to lead the world, it cannot only appear when there is profit. Leadership also means responsibility, and responsibility is expensive. The Iran war sent a message to every country watching. If you trade with China, Beijing may be useful. If you sell oil to China, Beijing may be your customer. If you oppose America, Beijing may praise you. But if you are attacked, do not wait for China to save you. You may get a statement. You may get a diplomat. You may get a speech about peace. But you probably will not get the People's Liberation Army. That is the difference between partnership and protection. Iran thought it had powerful friends. China thought it could enjoy influence without danger. Russia wanted to look strong while stuck in Ukraine. And the anti-American club wanted the world to believe it was united. But the war exposed the truth. They are not one team. They are separate countries using each other. China uses Iran for oil and influence. Iran uses China for money and diplomatic cover. Russia uses Iran when it needs weapons and distraction. Everyone talks about friendship. Everyone acts according to interest. That is geopolitics, not friendship, not loyalty, just calculation. So why didn't China save Iran? Because Iran was useful, but not priceless. China wanted Iran alive, but China did not want to bleed for Iran. And that is the brutal lesson from this war. China is powerful. But power is not only about money, ships, and speeches. Power is also about what you are willing to risk. In Iran, China showed its limit. It wanted influence, it wanted oil, it wanted to challenge America. But when the fire started, Beijing stepped back, protected its interests, called for peace, and waited for someone else to pay the bill. And after everything that happened, the most Xi Jinping could do was send a delegation to the funeral of Iran's late supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. Not troops, not warships, just condolences.
Thank you for watching Pastcast, where the past echoes through today. If you enjoyed the satire, scrolls, and scandals, like, subscribe, and ring the bell before the next empire falls.